How much do you think about death, Andrew?
Less than when I was younger, to be
really?
perfectly honest.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So it's a hard topic, you know.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but I think this movie does not only a good job about approaching the topic, but really gets us thinking. So I wanted to kind of talk through a few scenes that I think are really important, that really illustrate the theme, and lead to some really good conversation. So the first scene I want to talk about is kind of at the beginning of the movie. So there's like an intro where he's like fighting this giant monster. It's like a golem, I think. It's a big giant.
Okay.
And then the giant like basically breaks this giant bell tower, and after he defeats the giant, the bell falls on him. And you're like, okay, he just won. What just happened? So it's kind of funny scene, but he wakes up despite getting crushed, and he wakes up in the doctor's office, and the doctor kind of funnily says, you know, oh, you died. And we're like, wait, what? What do you mean you died? But it's really playing off the saying, you know, cats have 9 lives.
Cat,
right? And so Puss in Boots, he like looks at the doctor and just laughs, right? And then he says his famous line, I laugh at the face of death. You know, and so remember that one. Okay, we're gonna come back to that line. But basically, you know, the doctor asks him, how many times have you died? How many lives have you gone through? And it kind of replays all through his deaths, and they're all really funny, really kind of lame ways to die. And he quickly realizes, oh wait, I've died 8 times. That means I'm on my last life. Or the doctor's basically telling him that. Puss in Boots is kind of in denial.
Sure.
But he's like, the doctor's like, you're on your last life. And so he like prescribes him like a safer life, basically. No more adventures, no more like going out and like fighting people. You need to like take care of your life now. So Puss in Boots is like, totally blows him off. So he goes to the bar where he drinks milk. Because he's a cat. All right. So he's like, you know, in the bar, like, mulling over, blah, blah, blah. What do you mean, no adventure, blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly a hooded figure appears right next to him. And like, he's pretty clearly there to kill him. And so again, he stands and laughs at him and says, blah, I laugh at the face of death. He's all confident and like cocky. And of course, after you've seen the whole movie, you know that wolf character, the hooded character that's a wolf, is actually death itself. So it's very interesting, right? He's literally laughing at the face of death in that moment, but he doesn't know it. And so the wolf kind of laughs. He's like, you know, everyone thinks they're going to be the one to defeat me. And of course, in retrospect, that line is a lot more meaningful now because he's death, and everyone thinks they're going to be the person to finally defeat death. Right. So they have like a big battle. It's pretty cool. But Puss in Boots is pretty easily bested. And he draws blood. He bleeds. It's kind of symbolizing, wow, he's realizing.
He's human, or in this case, he's a cat.
He's mortal.
He's flesh.
He's seeing his mortality. And so he like runs away through the sewer basically and gets away. So it's really awesome scene to like introduce a villain. It's like really gripping and stuff. But I think if we stop and reflect on it, the reason this is actually a really great scene is that it like resonates with all of us. I think the things that are being portrayed and said by death, even though we don't know it's death yet, really resonate with us, right? And I think it's saying something about all of us, actually, each one of us and how we relate to death. You know, that we're kind of like Puss in Boots, laughing at the face of death. Like maybe we're not literally laughing, right? No one would do that, right?
Sure, because we don't have a face to laugh at.
And we're not gonna like joke about death, or maybe we do joke about death. That's a way to do it. But we're not gonna like be so cocky and say, "Oh yeah, I'm never gonna die." But I think we live as though we are laughing at the face of death.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like we live as though we have, we have 8 lives or something. We live as though, oh yeah, I'm never going to die. Or it's so far away that it basically might as well never happen.
Like 80 years.
You know? I think it's really saying something about how our society lives, you know? And I totally agree, you know? Like, because what does society tell us to prioritize and to value?
Money.
Like, money, pleasure, feeling good about yourself, you know, getting everything you want. All this stuff that isn't really going to matter when you die. Right? Like if you were to die tomorrow, would all that money you've accumulated, all the fun that you've had, would that really matter to you?
No.
Not at all,
like
right?
The watch band for my watch won't matter.
Like all those things that we get so obsessed about, so caught up about.
Yeah.
Right. None of that's going to matter when we die.
Yeah.
And yet those things consume us. And in that way, I think we're all just like Puss in Boots. Like sure, he's like off chasing adventure and glory. And like probably none of us are doing that. But what are the ways that we like live what are the ways we laugh at death? I don't know. What do you think, Andrew? Am I off base or am I?
No, I think you're right. You're right. Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of people just ignore it. They don't think about it. Or my personal favorite, they kind of just think about anything else.
Okay. Yeah.
Like, I attended a funeral 2 weeks ago, and it was super sad.
Yeah.
But I think everyone's takeaway was just, you got to move on. You got to think about the positive things in life. You can't dwell on it forever. And on the one hand, I totally see how that's true, right? Because you can't just stay stuck in the past. On the other hand, it's like, no one really wants to think about it. There's something weird if you dwell too long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's interesting, right? Like something that's so important and that's going to happen to all of us.
Yeah.
Like, shouldn't we think about it and talk about it a little 100% more?
100% of people die, as far as I could tell.
Yeah. Right. Like no one has been the exception to that statistic, right? Nothing in life is certain but
Every
death and taxes.
only human person has died.
Yeah. Right. And yet, like you said, like no one wants to talk about it or think about it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think these days, especially our adventure and living for glory is just to distract ourselves, right? Something that's not very glorious, right? Just think about anything else but death. But that I think is basically also the same, right? That's laughing at the face of death. Actually,
I got you. Like laughing, even though you know death is coming.
Yeah, you're like basically
you're just trying to laugh.
You're just telling death, like, you have no effect on me. You're not going to happen to me. But it's actually just ignoring the problem, like the wolf that's right there.
Yeah.
That's waiting for us to die. So I don't know. I think that's worth pondering and like kind of shaking people out of, and I applaud the movie for kind of doing that.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever heard of an animated movie that talks so directly about death.
Yeah. Yeah. Like plenty of really great
Up,
movies.
I think came close to it.
They kind of will have death in the movie, but they don't get you to like wrestle with death itself and for yourself as directly as this. Yeah. So that's why I really, really find, I think that's why this scene really captures people's, imagination. It's not just like, the awesome animation and the choreography. Yeah. That's not the,
like swords
he's so cool. And the way he talks, which are they're very well executed. Yeah. His little whistle that signifies death, all that's really well executed. But I think the reason why it captures people's imaginations and attention is because, you know what? We're all going to deal with this, and we all actually can really relate to Puss in Boots.